falling over either. Yes. So
have you seen any herbs or berries on your walk?
I've seen loads of berries. I've got my plastic bag here in my pocket. All right.
Good.
Let's see if I can collect any more elderberries. I've got 2 jars full at the moment, making tinctures, and I like to pick some more before they go. So,
and what the elderberry is good for?
Well, I'm sure Joan's going to mention that soon, but elderberries are excellent for lungs as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's amazing how God put these things at the very right time. You know, we're coming up to autumn, winter time when viruses and bacteria are more rampant. And this is the time we should be harvesting these things as well. So there's loads of herbs around me that I see, but my focus today is elderberries. Yes. But yeah, you were asking about the last program. It went extremely well. We had, I think it was 7 health guests. They came with all different conditions, MS, multiple sclerosis. Some people want to do weight elimination. And we don't talk about weights. We talk about weight elimination. You know, when we lose anything, we always want to find it. So we always talk about weight elimination. Oh, is Joan ready to start?
Yes, we are ready. We are ready. Thank you so much, Jonathan. You're a superstar. Praise the Lord.
I don't know about that, but thank you as well, Lucille. I hope you can continue another time to share the success of the last program with us.
So thank you, everybody, for holding the fort. So yes, welcome to today's True Temperance International Family Health Show. Your lungs, can you live without them? Okay, I know I can't. Right, so thank you for joining us today on the show. So I'll just come off the share and then we can introduce our host for today, and then we'll go back to the share. So my name is Sharon. Hopefully, this isn't your first time, but if it is, welcome. You'll get to know us because hopefully this won't be your last time. So I'm your host on for today, and the co-host is none other than...
Yours truly, Jonathan.
Okay, and as you can see, Jonathan is making the most of the sunshine. I really want to get out there, but I went out for my morning walk this morning, and yeah, it was really nice, very warm, surprisingly. But I have to connect the computer to, I'm not remote. Ah, there you go. The sun has come to join me for a few seconds. Okay, so thank you for joining us. Before we go any further, I'm going to share my screen so you can find out a little bit more about who we are and what we do. Okay, I think this is the right one. I hope this is the right one. Yes. Okay, so this is just a quick one just to let you know that we're in the series called Fearfully and Wonderfully Made, Know Your Body. This is our series for this season, and we're looking at all the different 11 body systems. We'll also be looking at vitamins and minerals and how we need them and what life would be like if we didn't have them. So the deficiencies and what you can use to help boost those minerals and vitamins, as well as looking at how they are used in our body system. So, and don't worry about the date. That was for the first one we used for this series. So Jonathan, over to you for the disclaimer, please. Okay, Jonathan is busy and saying hello to people. Jonathan, could you do the disclaimer, please? You're muted.
Yes, Sharon, I can. If I just bear with me a second. Yeah, so only a physician can diagnose, treat, and prescribe for illnesses or disease. Any information disclosed or discussed at the TTI Zoom talk show or for educational and informational purposes only. Please continue to seek professional medical advice from your general practitioner in regarding any illness you may be any illness or disease you may be suffering from. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. And moving on to the next slide. So with TTI, which stands for True Temperance International, as well as doing our family health shows at the weekend, we also have groups where we can stay in touch with each other, share ideas, recipes, encouragement, and ask questions on particular health issues that individuals may be struggling with. If there's any advice that we can get from our doctors, our medical missionaries, or other health practitioners, whatever field they're in. And if there's anything that individuals wish us to pray for, because ultimately the best doctor has to be our Heavenly Father. And he's given us our 8 health laws that we can tap into to keep us into optimal shape. But as we stay in touch in the groups, how do we do it, you may wonder? There's this wonderful tool called Telegram, which is an app that you would have to download onto your device, and or install onto your device. And when you've installed it, as you can see here, we've got the URLs that will allow you to join the groups, the stay in touch group. So we have the spiritual health group, we have the men's wellness group, and we have the women's wellness group. So please know which one you wish to join. You can join the spiritual and the women's, the spiritual and the men's. You can, if you've got some significant others, you can recommend that they join the relevant groups. So we look forward to staying in touch with you and seeing you on there if you've not joined us before. Okay. And the next slide is, every Thursday we have members from the True Temperance International team, part of a group where we call the Healthy Lifestyle and Wellness Show, and we promote the benefits in essential oils. We have essential oils given to us by our maker. These are in the plants, so they're there for us to make use of. Essential oils are actually the immune system of the plants, and there's so many benefits that we can have. I've actually got my diffuser going right now. Yay. And it's keeping me, it's bringing some of the outdoors in. So please join us on a Tuesday. You can see there is the link, there is the, what do you call it? The ID. I can't see it because I'm screen sharing on my screen, so I can't see it very well. But there is the ID for the, can you see what it says there, Jonathan?
Yes, so the ID is 82997524481.
And there's no password for that one. So you can, the meeting ID, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah, thank you, Jonathan. And we're currently using the acronym New Start, our 8 health doctors, and we're going through each week. So we've just done exercise this week. Next week coming, we'll be looking at water. So hopefully if you're interested, come along and find out more. Jonathan, can you speak on this one?
I believe this is from Mercy Door Ministry. They are doing a 10 days detox program, and you can contact Louise Reed. She's a regular. She's also a presenter on the show, and she's the person that runs this detox program. And the next one will be running from the 7th to the 16th of November. So if you are interested in doing a detox, you can contact Louise on the information there. Her contact detail is there. Thank you.
Thank you. And one of our other presenters who's been on our True Temperance International Family Health Show is Dr. Sam Davis. He has a farm in Spain called Unachenta, and he's doing another type of detox called, it's another 10-day detox called Reclaim, Reduce and Reset. So it's, as you can see, reclaiming your energy and vitality, reducing toxins and resetting your cardiac rhythm and your digestive process. So there's many benefits that you can get from your detox. So you've got a choice. You can go with the one with Mercy's Door, and the dates are not necessarily the same. So you can go with that one and Pastor Davis's one. So if I just, oops, I went forwards too far. So this one starts the 17th. This is in November. The 10-day one with Louise, and the one with Pastor Sam is in October. So you can try both of them. And then finally, we have Manor House, where our presenter today, Sister Joan, she does a lot at Manor House there. So this is one of their 10-day Restore to Health residential programs. This one starts the 19th of September, so that's tomorrow, okay? And it's a 10-day one. It says booked now. Well, for more information, I would say, because if you haven't booked now, it's probably a little late, but Joan can fill us in on that. And you can contact her on the number there that's shown, that's 07949 072676, or you can go on to the email them at info@manorhousehealth.co.uk. You could also look them up on the internet. So I believe that's the end. And thank you very much, everyone who's been supporting us over the last 18 months or so, in whichever way, whether it's through finances, through your prayers, through your supports, through sharing. We appreciate all of you coming on and sharing this wonderful health message with your friends and your family members. So yes, we do have a hand. Sister Ashanti, you have a hand?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you do any exercises. Do you go to the gym, like, as in that, by the way?
You mean me personally?
Yeah, do you go to the gym?
I prefer to do outdoor exercises myself. And yes, we definitely do exercises. I think we all do in the TTI team. Even if it's just walking, you'd find an exercise that suits you in terms of something that you're going to stick to, or you like, if you like variety, whether it's gardening. We've done presentations on, I'm not sure if we've done one. Yes, of course, we've done one on exercise. Definitely. We've gone through the New Start principles anyway. And so we have done, so if you, that's a good reminder, actually. This has been live streamed on YouTube. So I'm sure I've said hello to our YouTube listeners, but if I haven't, hi guys, lovely to have you with us. And so if you go back onto YouTube and look for our past presentations, you'll find there's definitely one on exercise. So thank you for that reminder, Ashanti. Okay, so I think I've done enough talking for now. You've heard my voice for long enough. So just wondering if there's anybody on here, though, just one person. I know Jonathan gave you the opportunity earlier, and I've seen that message in the chat. So yes, we are fully booked at Manor House for this program for tomorrow. Thank you, Lucille. But if there's anybody who's not had the opportunity to share how you've got on with your challenges, I'll take one testimony. Okay, so we're all a bit shy at sharing. Okay, you have 5 seconds. Come on, break that shyness. 5, 4, you can do it, you can do it. Hit that unmute button. 3, come on, tell us how you got on with your challenge. The okra punch. Come on, did you drink the okra punch? Okay, we'll leave that one with you then. So I'm now going over to introduce our speaker for today, which is Joan Cornwall. She'll be joining us from, well, she'll tell you where she's joining us from if she wishes to, but she's going to be speaking to us today on your lungs. And boy, do you need them. So Joan, if you'd like to unmute, and I will mute, and then you can just, in fact, I'll stay on here for a little bit longer just to say hi. How are you doing, Joan?
Yeah, hi Sharon, how are you? It's good to be on the program, and hi to everyone out there. Yes, we can see that Jonathan or the curlews are in such a lovely place, and I think it's quite pertinent because the presentation on lungs is about being outdoors and making sure you're among nature to get the best quality air. So I'll be covering a bit of that in the presentation. And also Lucille mentioned that she's on her digestive walk there in Stoke-on-Trent in the UK. And I recognize the woods that she's walking through, and she's going elderberry foraging. And I'm going to touch on the importance of foraging. She mentioned it, but it's important that we take control of our health. And when these herbs are made available in the autumn, the spring, summer, and autumn, we make sure we pick them, because it's medicine in our kitchen and for our families. And I will be stressing that point towards the end of my presentation.
Okay, Jen, and when you go on and to speak about the elderberries, just remind people the importance of using and handling your elderberries correctly, not to eat them straight away, because
Exactly.
okay, I've been bitten by that one and it wasn't a nice experience.
No.
Okay, just because it's good, you have to follow the wise instructions on preparing them before you partake of them.
Yeah.
So I will mute now. So over to you, Sister Joan.
Thank you very much. I'm going to share my screen to you all. Lovely. Okay, I'm sure everyone can see that.
Yep.
Great. Okay, so what I'm going to do is present to you today on our lungs. And as Sharon mentioned at the top of the show, TTI, True Temperance International, they're covering a series. And that series is covering our body system and how we are fearfully and wonderfully made. And for those of you who do not know, it comes from one of the Psalms in the Bible. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. And, we are living in unprecedented times. We know that. I'm not going to be dwelling on that. But we know that our respiratory system and our lungs, for many people, has been under attack. For some people, it's still under attack. And then we know that the winter months are coming. And we know that the winter months pose an issue because we're more indoors, or we don't realize that we should still be outdoors, but covered up to get our fresh air. So, fearfully and wonderfully made, our lungs. And thank you for having me, True Temperance International. It's my pleasure. And it's always wonderful to be able to minister to people who are out there, just to encourage them to take control of their health. So that's just a quick outline. I'm going to talk about the air that we breathe and the importance, a little bit about the lung anatomy and physiology, and then something about lung health, how we can take care of our lungs through health and nutrition. So, air is so abundant and immediately available, we tend to take it for granted. We tend to take it for granted. I wonder why. So you're looking at that wonderful forest, and actually it was a slight video, but you're looking at that wonderful forest, and I know that the curlews are down in mid Wales, and they were showing you the trees. And most of us may see this and only on holidays. But I just wanted to pose to you that we should be going through these type of areas, because that is where you're going to get the best oxygen from the trees. And even if you live in the city right now, I'm down in London at one of our daughters' home, and thankfully she's exposed to trees where she is, in the part that she is. But air, sometimes we forget, we just breathe naturally. That is the way that God has created our bodies. Doesn't that look nice? It makes you just want to go, just looking at it, such beauty. So we take it for granted. That's what we do. We take it for granted. So air is the most important nutrient. So none of us have ever considered air as a nutrient, but of course it is. This is obvious because as little as 3 minutes of deprivation will have apparent and serious effects, not only on our health, but also on our very existence. Air is the first. It doesn't say the second or the third or the fourth. Air is the first essential of a healthy body. We can live without food for several months, without water for several days, but we cannot live without air for more than just a few minutes. So pure, fresh air oxygenates and enlivens your body. Impure air is one of the greatest causes of poor health. So make sure that the air that we breathe is fresh, it's pure. And you get that when you go outdoors. You do not get fresh air if we're sitting on in our living rooms, on the sofa. You heard Lucille mentioned at the top of the show that she's going for her digestive walk. That is important. It's important to go out for a digestive walk, even if it's a walk around your garden area. Go out there for at least 15 minutes, breathe in the fresh air, because what it does, it actually puts oxygen into your lungs, which then goes into your cells, and it helps the blood to circulate properly so that the food that you've eaten can be distributed throughout your body. It's broken down and distributed, and it's less taxing on your body, on your digestive system. When you actually breathe in there, you go out for a digestive walk. So let's look at the nose. Now the nose, just like the mouth is the first part of your digestive process, the nose is our personal air conditioning system. Your nose is the entrance. Your nose is the entrance into your lungs. You can't get it any other way. You know, you don't see people breathing through their mouth. You naturally breathe through your nose. It is our personal air conditioning system. It warms cold air and it cools hot air and it filters out impurities. Now, our nose has small, very fine hairs. We have very fine hairs in our nose. And if you've ever had bogies, you know, how many of us have had to blow our nose, or you've had bogies, you know, little balls of bogies, I call them. That's actually your protection, because it's showing how many pathogens your nose is filtering out every single minute, or I should say every single second of every single minute of every single hour. Every day your nose is at work to protect your lungs. So God has given us our nose with the small hairs to capture the pathogens so that it does not go through and into our lungs. Air contains approximately 20% oxygen, with the rest being nitrogen and other gases. Since the human body functions with oxygen, each one of the cells needs to receive a constant and renewed supply of these gases, or what? We will actually die. This is the importance of air. The human body functions with oxygen. Our blood needs it. Our cells need it. Our muscles need it. Our brain needs it. So for those of you who aren't familiar, there's something called the 8 laws of health. And here it says, sleep with the window slightly open at night so you breathe in fresh air into your lungs, which helps rebuild your cells. And even in the winter, even in the cold months, crack your window open because your lungs need fresh air. You need fresh air to rebuild your lungs, and air is actually one of the or part of the 8 laws of health. So air is food. We've never considered air as a food. It's more essential than any other food and must be used for the performance of many vital functions. The oxygen in air is carried by the blood to every cell in the body and essential for cellular metabolism, cell growth. Air contains electricity. Fresh air charges your nerves and muscles with electricity and increases your energy. So air is a healing agent. A wound will not heal without air. It acts as both purifier and a deodorizer. And I must say, thinking about someone who attended Manor House a few months ago, and his leg was supposed to be amputated. And what happened was we placed him in the fresh air, in the sun, and we also gave something called ozone therapy, which I'm going to touch on later on, which is oxygen therapy. And this man is 90 years old and he still has that leg on his body. Air is a healing agent. If you've ever cut yourself, you'll notice if you bind it up and you keep it locked off from the sun, locked off from the air, it starts to get wet, always keep that wound as far as possible in fresh air. Help the air to heal. Fresh air acts as an agent in producing a more positive attitude. You know, when you're out there in the open, fresh air, of course you feel good. You're walking through it, you feel a lot better. It strengthens and nourishes the nervous system. Now, hear this. It says foul air is depressing and stressful to your body. Of course it is. Nobody likes to be in an environment where there's foul air. But unfortunately, there are many people who live in areas where there is foul air. Okay. So the oxygen source in the air is replenished by the leaves of trees. This is why I said that if you're in an environment where there are trees, it's a blessing, because it is the trees that cleans the air. We in turn breathe out carbon dioxide, an essential nutrient for plants. God created this synergistic cycle so that we would always have fresh supplies of oxygen to maintain optimum health. Unfortunately, we're living in a time when they're cutting down trees, burning the rainforest, burning the trees in the rainforest. Is very, very sad, because the trees is what keeps the air clean on the face of this earth. So air quality tends to be best at early morning and late evening. So if you are, you go outside your home, you take that lovely morning walk, you're getting good quality air, breathe it in. And then late in the evening, the best supply of clean, fresh air can be found where? In the mountains, in large wooded areas, near large bodies of water, and some remote places far from industry and automobiles. So clean, fresh air is negatively charged and polluted air is positively charged. Air pollution abounds with tobacco smoke, automobile emissions, industrial waste, burning grasslands, and so forth. And we know that for many of us who are living in clustered areas, you'll find that the air quality is not as good as if you are out in the fresh open air in the countryside. So air and blood are separated by these thin walls, which are only 2 cells thick. Here, the exchange of gases by diffusion occurs. Blood that is low in oxygen, full of carbon dioxide, is brought to the lungs so that carbon dioxide may be released and oxygen taken up. So the oxygen-rich blood is then carried by many millions of red blood cells to nourish all the body's tissues and cells. And this exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide is completed within milliseconds. And it takes about, just listen to this, 1 minute for a complete circuit of the body. So let's now look at this, the lungs. So breathing is a natural, spontaneous, automatic activity, taking in and moving a total of approximately 20,000 liters of air daily. As the air is inhaled by the lungs, the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide takes place in more than 600 million air sacs called the alveoli. And these alveoli are lined by a network of fine capillaries containing blood. So lungs have 200 to 600 million air sacs, depending on the height of the individual. Every second, a quarter of the body's blood passes over the air sacs, which gives up carbon dioxide and absorb oxygen. So approximately 7 to 8 liters of blood are circulated through the lungs every minute. And this is why it's so important for us to not practice shallow breathing, but practice deep breathing, so that at least we can feed our lungs and it can do the work it should be doing. So we're now going to go on to how the lungs actually work. Now, I'm not sure if anyone realized this, but we have 7 organs of elimination, 7 organs of elimination. So I'm just going to do something here. Okay. Right. So mic is on. Can they please mute? Hello. Yeah, thank you. So here we have 7 organs of elimination. For those of you who do not understand what I'm talking about, it's actually the organs that eliminate waste from our body. That is what we have, 7 organs of elimination. And it's interesting that 7 is a number meaning completion. So here you have the skin, number 1. Then you have the kidneys, number 2. You also have the colon, number 3. You then have the liver here, number 4. You then have the bladder, number 5. You have the lymphatics, number 6. And then you have the lungs, number 7. And people don't realize that the lungs are part of the elimination system of the body. Now, let's listen to this. As the lungs share the eliminatory processes of the body with the colon, the kidneys, the skin, the bladder, the lymphatics, and the liver, a problem in any of these organs may increase the workload of the lungs. Toxic conditions in the digestive tract may be forcing the lungs to try to remove more than they can cope with. So what is this telling us? It's telling us to make sure that we look after all of those 6 other organs of elimination. Otherwise, we will place a burden on our lungs. So if we do have any issues with our lungs, let's look at the other organs of our body and see if they are working at the optimum level they ought to be working, because there may be a suggestion that something is wrong somewhere else in our body that is causing the lungs to be taxed. So the lungs are inflated by inhaled air. Despite continuous inhalation and expiration, they are never empty. During normal breathing, only about 1/5 of the lungs' capacity is filled with air and then expired, breathed out, leaving a sump containing about 4/5 of stationary air. So many of us will have stationary air in our lungs. So during deep exhalation, as with physical exercise or deep breathing exercises, much of the stagnant air at the bottom will be exhaled. It is not difficult to see that the stagnant air can become a breeding ground for infection and, of course, lung congestion. It leads to lung congestion. So the lungs have a very efficient cleansing mechanism. So the bronchioles are lined with microscopic hairs called cilia that contract only in an upward direction. They are immersed in a film of mucus that is secreted by glands lining the respiratory tract. So fine particles in the air stick to the rim, protecting the delicate lungs from irritants. So the effect of contraction is to move mucus towards the throat. So it's moving it upwards where it can be swallowed and removed via the digestive system. So have you ever had that cough, that irritating cough that bothers you while you're doing your daily duties? If there is a particularly heavy load, the task is fulfilled by the cough reflex. Coughing expels air from the lungs at high speed so that obstructions are swept to the mouth. If the cough is productive, moving the obstruction to the surface, the irritation will pass and the spasm will subside. Coughs are our friends. Cough is our friend, and we should see that cough and try to expel whatever that obstruction is, and then you should feel better. However, sorry, I've gone in the wrong direction. However, if your cough is non-productive, nothing's coming out, no sputum, if it's dry or the obstruction consists of excess mucus, as in catarrh, the cough will need to be repeated. So you'll be repeatedly coughing. Accordingly, a cough should be seen as a symptom, not a disorder. To suppress it does not remove the cause. So I'm telling all of my friends out there, please do not buy cough suppressants, because all you are doing is stopping the cough, but the issue is still there. A cough should be considered as a cleansing mechanism And stubborn cough is a sign that adequate cleansing is not being carried out. So the effective way to treat a cough is to try to make it productive. That is what we should be doing. And I'm going to touch on that a little later on in my presentation. So, you know, we're living in a fast-paced environment. Some of us live in industrial cities. Smoke and environmental pollutants produce a constant supply of particles. The dust removal defense system is easily overworked, and there is almost universal accumulation of such particles. So a lot of us, especially if you are industrial workers, maybe many of you work in the construction industry, you deal with a lot of paint, you deal with a lot of solvents, you will find that you will be accumulating a lot of these particles, and it's about protecting your lungs when you're in these kind of industrial environments. Infection is a result of congested lung tissue. Organisms can only thrive if the conditions are right. Lung congestion provides the ideal atmosphere for infection. So in removing the infection does not remove the underlying problem. So we look at our foods that we eat, and knows that someone said at the top of the program that they have a lot of lung issues, and we're going to be covering how we can deal with that in some natural ways. But if the body's need for mucus forming foods is exceeded, now it says exceeded, it will remove the excess by increasing secretions. So, you know, you have coughs, you have colds, you have runny eyes, you have issues with your sinuses, you may have blocked ears. So that is some of the secretions that may take place because your body's trying to get rid of the excess mucus. In any respiratory condition where there is excess mucus, a diet low in mucus-forming foods is very, very important. There is nothing inherently wrong with mucus because many of our body's tissues are lined with it for protection. It's the excess that causes the problems. And there you have some examples. I know that when I suffered with asthma years ago, I was informed to come off mucus-forming foods, which I did gladly. And thankfully, I don't have asthma anymore simply because I changed my diet, got rid of the mucus-forming foods because the excess mucus was exacerbating the situation. So I'm now going to show you some of the disorders of the respiratory system. It's not a long list, but some of these are some that you may recognize, especially for those of you who are out there and may have lung issues. So we've seen that the production of mucus is an important part of the lungs' cleansing system. If there is overproduction or its upward flow is restricted, the upward flow, remember, we are supposed to get the lungs work to push it upward. If it's restricted, resulting congestion causes various disorders, and the most common problems arise from infection of stagnant mucus. So now it's about getting rid of any stagnant mucus that we may have in our lungs, especially as we're moving on into the winter season. And I will be showing you some herbs and some foods that will help you to do that, including the breathing. Breathing is important. It's inhaling and exhaling air, and you're inhaling oxygen, exhaling carbon dioxide. And we ought to be doing that or get into the practice of having something called air baths. And air baths is when you wake up in the morning, you open your window, you go outside and you breathe in that fresh air and then you exhale. It's good to have an air bath in the mornings. So some of the respiratory tract disorders, you have the obstructive conditions, example, emphysema, bronchitis, asthma attacks. Then you have restrictive conditions, for example, fibrosis, sarcoidosis, alveolar damage or pleural effusion, vascular diseases such as pulmonary edema, pulmonary embolism, pulmonary hypertension. And then you have some of the infectious environmental diseases such as pneumonia, tuberculosis, asbestosis, particulate pollutants. Coughing is of major importance as it is the body's main method to remove dust, mucus, saliva, and other debris from the lungs. Like I said before, please do not purchase cough suppressants. Do not purchase cough suppressants because there are things in there, there are elements in there that will inhibit that cough, which is needed to expel any instruction or to bring up that mucus and you can spit it out. Inability to cough can lead to infection. So it's the inability to cough it out that will lead to infection. Deep breathing exercises may help keep finer structures of the lungs clear from particulate matter. So like I said before, a cough is a sign of bronchial congestion. If it is dry and sputum is sticky, it is important to administer expectorant herbs to make the mucus more fluid. This will reduce potential long-term damage. Asthma is the result of inflammation of bronchi and bronchioles, causing a narrowing of the airways and restricting air to the lungs. Most asthmatics will have considerable amounts of thick mucus in the narrowed bronchi. Therefore, it would seem logical to reduce mucus-forming foods in the diet. So causes of bronchial narrowing include reactions to animal fur, dust, mites, pollen, tobacco smoke, etc. So some food intolerances may be asthma triggers, example, cow's milk products or wheat. So fumes from household products, such as perfumes in personal care products, air freshener solvents, and paint also affect some people. And I know that TTI, especially at the classes they hold on Thursdays, they show you how you can make some of your own household cleaning products. And I know they've done something on that in the past few weeks. Chronic bronchitis is the long-term result of repeated coughs until the cough is present more or less all the time. Wheezing and tightness of the chest are common symptoms. Difficult breathing is generally due to destruction of pulmonary tissues, but this may be aggravated by infection or swollen membranes that can result from adverse atmospheric conditions. And then you have something called acute bronchitis. It's usually due to inflammation of the trachea, that's the windpipe, and bronchi due to bacterial or viral infection. And we know we're living in a time where there is a lot of bacterial, viral infections. How can we make sure that we protect the God-given lungs that God has given us and that of our friends and families so that we can cope with whatever the pressures are that's coming our way? So I promised that I was going to show you some herbs and foods for the respiratory tract. I'm going to go ahead and do this, and then I'm going to be taking questions, or we're going to have a discussion. We're going to have a discussion. So did you know that apples, researchers have linked good lung function with high intakes of vitamins C, E, and beta carotene, all of which are present in apples. Apples come packed with antioxidants that help keep your lungs healthy. And what about walnuts? They are a great source of omega-3 fatty acids. Eating a handful of them can help fight asthma and other respiratory conditions. Omega-3 fatty acids are thought to be anti-inflammatory nutrients with protective effects in inflammatory ailments. And then we have berries. Acacia and blueberries are two of the most effective berries that help keep your lungs healthy. They are rich in antioxidants like vitamin C, which help fight cell damaging free radicals. And I have to say, I love blueberries, absolutely love blueberries. And then we have broccoli. A lot of people say it's not their favorite, but listen, broccoli is high in vitamin C content, carotenoids, folate, and phytochemicals that fight damaging elements in the lungs. Broccoli is said to have an active constituent called L-sulforaphane, which tricks the cells to switch on the anti-inflammatory genes that further avoids respiratory conditions. And then we have flaxseed. I know that we use that a lot, even in our own home, to sprinkle on our porridge. You can sprinkle it on your salad. You can put it in your smoothies. According to a study published in the journal BMC Cancer, a diet of flax seeds given to mice not only protects lung tissues before exposure to radiation, but can also significantly reduce the damage after exposure occurs, and that is flaxseed. And then we have the wonderful turmeric, part of the ginger family. Turmeric has anti-inflammatory properties thanks to the curcumin compound present in it. This compound helps relieve inflammation of the airways, tightness of the chest associated with asthma. Make sure you're adding these foods to your diet every day to ensure healthy and happy lungs. Now, some of these I'm mentioning actually is part of something called nature's penicillin or the flu balm. So many of these ingredients that I'm mentioning are actually ingredients that are part of the flu balm. And the wonderful garlic, an excellent remedy for coughs that result from bacterial or viral infections. You cannot beat garlic if you have nothing else to hand. Garlic is absolutely amazing. It may also be helpful for asthma and catarrhal conditions. Garlic has a powerful effect on the respiratory system. Its volatile oil is excreted via the lungs, influencing bronchial secretions and producing a disinfectant action on the lungs. It is very effective for chronic bronchial catarrh, recurrent colds and influenza, and is used as part of a therapeutic approach for bronchial asthma. Now, many of you may not realize this, but thyme, the seasoning, is actually excellent. And I remember when my husband and I, we would carry a flask of tea, and it was thyme tea, especially when it comes to the winter. This herb has a high content of volatile oil that is eliminated via the lungs, having strong antiseptic properties, a good remedy for coughs, bronchitis, and asthma, as it induces expectoration, and its sedative action on nerves relaxes the airways, thereby reducing spasm. So thyme is a natural expectorant. It will actually help you to produce a cough. It can be helpful for produce a cough, that is, and to spit out. It can be helpful for nervous coughs brought on by a combination of external stress and habit. Inhalation of the oil can help to ease congested nasal passages, and it can also be added to bath water. Because the properties of the oil are easily lost, infusions or decoctions should always be kept tightly covered, and a thermal flask is an ideal vessel in which to make that infusion. And like I said, we always carried our thyme tea in our flask out and about. Excellent, excellent herb. And then you have the ginger. Ginger has been used for many years as a healing root. There are many benefits of eating ginger, including better lung health. Ginger helps to break down the mucus, making it easier for your body to expel air. It also helps improve circulation to the lungs and reduces inflammation. And like I said, turmeric is part of the ginger family, but also turmeric and ginger and garlic you can add to your food. Then you have something called menthol crystals. And I should say that if you are going to get this, please make sure you get the pharmaceutical grade menthol crystals, which do exist online. When taken orally or used topically in or around the mouth, menthol can be the only ingredient in topical cough suppressant medicines, such as lozenges or sprays, or it can be combined with other ingredients in oral multi-symptom cough and cold medicines. And then you have horseradish, which is actually one of my favorites also. Horseradish, you can actually go out now and get your horseradish. You can dig it up. Horseradish grows wild in many places. It actually grows wild in Stoke-on-Trent along the canal. And you can get the roots. It almost they look like turnips, but they're really, they're strong smelling, eye-watering herbs. And you have to take care when you're handling horseradish, because it can actually fill your whole home, or kitchen, I should say, with fumes. So if you've ever eaten horseradish, you know that it can make your eyes water and your nose run. It's an excellent thing if you think about what it can do to the mucus that may be sitting around in your respiratory system. Horseradish is an expectorant. So this is another expectorant. What it will do, it will help you to induce cough, which will then help you to spit out the mucus. Stimulates the mucus secretions in the sinuses and the lungs. So it's excellent for sinus sufferers, excellent for asthma sufferers, excellent for bronchitis. It is one of the best herbs when it comes to providing medicinal relief to lung congestion. It helps the common cold. Studies show that compared to conventional antibiotics, horseradish does just as good job in clearing up acute sinusitis and bronchitis. So there you go. Go out there, look for your horseradish. I know some stores may sell it, but like I said before, if you're lucky enough, you'll find them growing wild, and you can almost smell it. A lot of them, certainly in Stoke-on-Trent, you can actually smell the horseradish. It's amazing. You can have that, and you can also add it, if you wish, to your flu bomb. I cannot stress how wonderful this herb is. If I haven't convinced you, I hope you have been convinced. Horseradish is the go-to. So I'm just going to, if you happen to get your hands on horseradish, I'm just going to take you through this cough syrup. You can take your phone and take a picture of it. So if you get your hands on horseradish, I think someone says that, I think we're on YouTube, so I don't want to be advertising these stores, but look around and find out on Google who has horseradish. But like I said, it's in season. Dig it up and get it into your kitchen. Grate a horseradish root into a bowl. Outdoors, if the fumes are strong, they are very, very strong in our experience. And cover this with organic honey. Stir well and leave for a few hours until a syrup develops. Strain off the liquid. If it is too fluid, heat it until it reduces to the consistency you like. You pour it into a bottle. It is strong, so dosage should be no more than 3 tablespoons a day. And you can use this for coughs, colds, fever, sinus, congestion. I've also used horseradish and added it to my lung tonics. It's excellent, absolutely excellent. So I hope that is something useful for you. Horseradish cough syrup. Think about your family and friends, your loved ones, as we're entering into this winter season. And then you have onions. Onions are loaded with flavonoids, which help fight inflammation from asthma by strengthening the capillary walls. They also can protect the lining of the lungs and bronchial tubes from damage caused by pollution. And then we have cayenne pepper. You can get them in various strengths. I think the medicinal strength is 90,000 IUs, and you can get it up to 130,000 IUs, but it is excellent. It's got beta carotene, it's excellent for circulation, and it is also an expectorant. If any of you have had a cayenne pepper, whether you've had it looking like that, or you've had it in powder form, and you've added it to your food, you've added it to your tea, you will find that quite naturally your eyes will water or you'll be coughing. And this is because of the properties inside cayenne pepper. That is another excellent source and another excellent expectorant. Now, when you look at this picture, what is that on the left-hand side? I can't hear you, but maybe Sharon or someone who's on, can someone tell me what is that on your left-hand side of the presentation? Can anyone identify that?
Elderberry.
Excellent. It's elderberry. What is elderberries? And Lucille mentioned it at the top of the show. Now then, can you see the shape of it? left lung, right lung. Can you see what it looks like? Can anyone look at it and see that it actually resembles your lungs? You see all these veins, bronchial tubes, the trachea, bronchus leading to each lung. And then if you look at the bottom one, can you see all the strands? And that is due to one of my, I should actually give credit to one of my friends and colleagues, Diane, because whilst at Manor House, Sharon, another colleague, she foraged for her elderberries. And as she was taking the berries off the branches, it was Diane who says, doesn't it look like the bronchioles in our lungs? And actually, I have to say, I totally agree. And yet elderberry is one of the best berries that you can forage for this upcoming winter. And I'll show you why. I'm going to show you why. Oh, that's a picture that I took of the actual berries that we picked. And then there you have the actual strands that is left. And I placed it like that on purpose to make it look like, yes, it's a part of the lung structure. So elderberries. The humble elderberry is perhaps most famously used for the treatment of colds and flu. There is much evidence for its effectiveness with a double-blind, placebo-controlled trial conducted during an outbreak of influenza B in Panama in 1995. The study found that within 2 days, there were significant improvements in symptoms, including fever, among 93.3% of those taking elderberry syrup. 90% of the elderberry group were completely well again within 2 to 3 days, compared to 6 days in the placebo group. In 2016, another study by the School of Pharmacy, Griffith University, Australia, published in Nutrients, showed that supplementation with elderberry can reduce the symptoms and duration of a cold in air travelers. Travelers who use elderberry for 10 days before travel and up to 5 days after arriving overseas experienced an average 2-day shorter duration of their colds and a noticeable reduction in their symptoms. The elderflower is an anticatarrhal herb, meaning it is extremely effective for runny noses and congestion. Anticatarrhal herbs prevent excess mucus formation and aid in removing mucus and reducing inflammation in the body. And I should also add that during the time of the epidemic of COVID, a scientist came on national TV or media, and they were singing the praises of elderberries. And once they did that, you could not find elderberries anywhere on trees. People, it was like a stampede. It was so hard to forage for elderberries, which is why I say start early, get out there and get your elderberries. I know Lucille's out there already and foraging for elderberries. We certainly were blessed enough when we were down in Stoke-on-Trent a couple of weeks ago, we managed to forage, or I should say, let me give the credit to Errol, my husband, managed to forage a lot of elderberries, for which I'm very thankful for. So like I said at the top of the show, when we come into these seasons, try to get out there. You're getting your fresh air as well. You're filling your lungs. Get out there and forage for these wonderful things that God has provided, the elderberries, the horseradish. These things grow wild. And I would encourage each and every one of you listening to go out there and look for them and get them into your kitchen and make your elderberry syrup for if you have little ones in the home, even for the adults, because you'll find that there are quite a lot of benefits from that. So I'm on to my last slide. I just wanted to remind you all by saying this, and the Lord God formed the man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. When we think of people who have collapsed, what is the first thing that people do? They check their airways. They make sure they want to see if they're breathing or not, because we know that when breath stops, life stops. And that is why it's so important for us to remember that our lungs is something to be looked after. We are indeed fearfully and wonderfully made. And these lungs, which we take for granted, this body actually that we take for granted, when we're out and about doing, our daily tasks, just breathing through the nose, that's where it actually starts. And it's about protecting our lungs, protecting our nasal passages, so that we can, withstand any of the viruses and ailments and infection that may be out in the air. So that's the end of my presentation. And I'm more than happy to take questions or for us to have a discussion on anything that I've presented. And I have to say that I will not be answering personal health questions. If it is personal, you can always put your name and your number in the chat, and I'm more than happy to get in touch with you, or I'll leave my contact details in the chat. But from a generalistic point of view, I'm sure we can have a little discussion about anything that I've mentioned in my slides. Sharon.
Thank you so much, Sister Joan, for a very thorough presentation on the respiratory system. So as I said, we were looking at the different systems of the body, and Sister Joan has presented to us the respiratory system. So if you didn't know it, now, do you think you need your lungs? Okay, we're going to allow you to unmute. So we'll turn that feature on. I have lots of questions, but obviously this is for everybody to be able to ask questions, or not as many as we can take anyway. So I'm going to allow participants to unmute themselves. Right, so
okay.
Before we do that though,
oh, sorry.
There's a couple of things I just want to clarify. And I've put a few questions in the chat as well, just to make people, get the ball rolling. But anyway, this one is, it's the cough syrup issue, because earlier on in the presentations, you told us that we shouldn't suppress a cough, but rather we should encourage it to be effective, which I get. But then you showed us, you shared with us a cough syrup recipe. Can you just clarify why we should have a cough syrup recipe, but yet we shouldn't suppress the cough?
Yeah, the actual horseradish cough syrup is not a suppressant. It's not a cough suppressant. The horseradish, if you saw in the previous slide before I showed the cough syrup, is to actually, it's an expectorant. So it's actually to encourage the phlegm or the mucus or the stagnant mucus inside the lungs. Yeah.
Thank you for that. So there's,
it's not a suppressant.
So there's cough syrups, and there's cough syrups.
You have cough syrups and you have cough suppressants.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay. So the cough syrup will encourage you to cough, and the other ones will stop you from coughing.
It will literally stop it, and some of them actually dry the mucus, which makes it exacerbates the situation. I know that there are cough suppressants out there that instead of helping you to cough it out, it suppresses it, because people say they don't want to be inconvenienced by coughs, they don't want to be embarrassed or continue coughing, but actually that's a sign that you've got stagnant mucus, you've got lung congestion. And so some of these medicines out there, what they do, they almost crystallize the mucus, it hardens it. And you don't want hard mucus in your body at all.
No, you need to get rid of it. So so thank you so much for sharing. You've answered some of the questions already by sharing us the herbs that you can use, what's out there in nature. That's been absolutely brilliant. I did mention that the broccoli looks a bit like bronchioles as well.
Yeah, thanks for that, because I didn't realize, but you're right, they do, especially if you put the two of the stalks together, and then you've got the lungs, and
then you've got the tiny little
and then you have the alveoli.
That's
you
it.
have the bronchioles. It's amazing, isn't it? And actually the stalk of the broccoli looks like the trachea.
There you go. Fearfully and wonderfully made.
Like the windpipe.
And it's amazing. God put those things in nature.
Yeah.
He made those I can't remember, I think it was day 3, he made the fruits and trees.
Mm.
And then he made us on day 6. So he prepared the place for us so that we can utilize
Absolutely.
the original diet that he provided for us. So that's good. Right. Before I ask some of my questions, I'm going to go over to YouTube. And somebody's asked, are dried organic elderberries as effective as the fresh ones?
You know, your herbs.
That was Mel.
Yeah, when you dry your herbs, they actually become more potent.
Wow.
They're actually more potent, and dried herbs can last about 2 to 3 years if you keep them in brown. You can keep them in a brown paper bag. You can secure them in airtight jars. They will last for a very, very long time. Dried herbs are more potent.
That's brilliant. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Mel Gray appreciates that answer.
And if you want to dry, you can get a brown paper bag. So for instance, if you picked your herbs, get a brown paper bag. Obviously, you've taken the little bugs and things off your freshly foraged herbs, and you stick them in the brown bag, and you just punch a few holes in the bag, and you just stick them on top of your wardrobe or stick them on top of the kitchen cupboard and just leave them, and you'll find that they'll dry quite beautifully without molding.
Okay, thank you for that. Right then, so I'm going to take a question from the chat. There's quite a few in here.
Yeah.
Let's just go to right, this one about how do you make the elderberry syrup? And somebody has put a YouTube link on there.
How do you make
the elderberry syrup? I'm
going to ask Jonathan to answer that one. Or Lucille. Jonathan or Lucille makes elderberry syrup.
I think Lucille will give an excellent answer.
Okay, Lucille, it's over to you.
I'm still walking.
Excellent. Praise God.
and I don't know if you can see, here are my elderberries.
Oh, wow, can see it.
Yes, unfortunately, I went on the same track that Errol, Joan's husband, went. And I think Errol picked all the elderberries. He didn't leave hardly any for me. Last week, Joan and Errol picked most of the elderberries. So I'm coming down to the road. So you have to come back to me a few moments because it's going to be very noisy at the moment. All right.
Okay,
but I can tell you how to make it in a few moments.
That's fine. That's fine. Thank you so much for that, Lucille. And Lucille, you're not the only one that's been out. If you'd have noticed, I did pop out on my other device to get out and get some of that sunshine because it's a beautiful day. It's a shame to not be out there, so I had to go out and enjoy some of it.
Excellent.
Right. I did put a question in the chat because you mentioned walnuts, yes, Joan?
Oh, yes.
So I, just to raise a few eyebrows, and Lucille actually managed to answer this one while she was walking, but not everybody catches the chat, so I'll put it there anyway. I'll mention it. If walnuts are good, and we know that carrots are, does that mean that a slice of carrot and walnut cake is a good choice?
I need that for you to answer. We're talking about it in a specific form.
Okay, well, the response came back from Lucille, as long as there's no refined sugars in, which is acid forming. So you still have the good thing. But sometimes people say, well, I want a bit of cake. So if I go for the one with the walnuts on top, then that's okay. I can have a nice piece.
Exactly.
And I know carrots are good for me. So, you know, so you say, okay, I won't go for the coffee and walnut cake, but I'll go for the carrot and walnut cake.
Well, carrot juice is good for lung health. It is. Carrot juice is excellent for lung health, and walnuts, you can grind it if you want to grind it. If you have problems chewing the walnuts, you can make it into a powder and you can sprinkle it on your cereals or your salad, or you can just take a handful and you can chew on them.
But you're talking about carrot in its raw form. You're not necessarily talking about carrot with all the other ingredients that you put together to make a cake.
Yeah, well, it would be lovely if we could, but carrot in its raw form is far better.
And it's nice anyway. And if you don't like it, my mother used to say, you will grow to like it.
Yes, exactly.
But as with all things and with true temperance, we need not to have too much. You don't want an excess that you start turning orange. And trust me, it is possible you can turn orange and have too much. An overdose of anything is not going to be good for you. Okay, right, let's just see. Jonathan, can you see any questions in the chat now? I've got another one on YouTube. It says, would you also recommend a dehydrator for drying the elderberries?
Yes, you can. You can dehydrate your elderberries.
Right, so we're not necessarily recommending a dehydrator brand, but
no,
that's for you to do your own search. But if you want to use that method, you can dry them quickly.
Yeah, you put them, if you make sure that, because obviously when you're foraging, there's a lot of mites that would have had access to them. So you want to make sure that they're clean of any bugs. Take the berries off the branches itself. I suppose, yeah, take them off the branches itself, and then you can place them on your dehydrator. I would say first a paper towel to get rid of a lot of the excess water once you've rinsed them. And then you place them on the dehydrator and leave it in there according to the time settings of your dehydrator. I know I've purchased dehydrated elderberries and absolutely excellent, potent. So you can dehydrate them. You can also, if you want, you can slightly boil or simmer your elderberries. I know Sharon mentioned at the top of the show, if you have elderberries and you are going to just wash them and eat them in, straight away, I wouldn't recommend it at all, because sometimes it can be too much for your digestive system. So I would recommend that you can slightly boil them and take them off and strain them, and then you can use them. And especially the elderberries, when you're picking your elderberries, when you're foraging, please do not eat the green ones. Please do not eat the green ones, because they will make you sick. They have to be just what Lucille's got there. These are dark, these are black, these are ready. And that's the way your elderberries are supposed to look. Beautiful, Lucille.
And in spite of them looking ripe and ready, and Lucille seems ready to share with us how to make them, you still have to follow the instructions, because I've been there and it wasn't nice. Thank God I was able to survive. So Ashanti did say she hears people saying that they're poisonous. So how do we know if they're safe to take internally? And at this point, Sister Lucille, we're gonna see what you have to say about making. I've actually got some in my fridge waiting to make some syrup. So yes.
Okay, hi again, everyone. So these are the ones that I've just picked. These are from the garden I've just picked, and these are from foraging around the canal. So what I tend to do, I go through these and make sure they're as black as possible. So if you can see here, they're very, very dark. And then what I would do, I would literally take them off the stalk. So these are like the little air sacs off the lungs, and I would take them off the stalk, wash them, and then I put them through another process, which you don't really need it to go, but I tend to put some ozone on them, which is really to make sure that extra clean, but you don't need to do that. So just wash them, then you just dry them, make them drain in a sieve, a colander, drain them, and then dry them lightly with a paper towel. And then get a very, very clean jar. Make sure it's meticulously clean. You can wash it, rinse it, and you can even put hot water in the jar to make sure it is really, really clean. And then put the separated little bronchioles, the sacs like these, you put them in your jar. I don't know if you can see it. Yes, you put them in your jar, and then you can cover them with glycerin, vegetable glycerin, and which is useful for children. Or if you want to make a really strong tincture, so both of these are tinctures, vegetable glycerin is a tincture, you can even use ethanol. and you pour ethanol on it, and then you leave it on, you seal the jar, and you leave it on your window ledge for about 2 weeks, constantly rotating the jar every day. So every day you just rotate the jar to make sure all the berries are fully covered. And after you've done that for 2 weeks, you can either decant it from the jar, separate the liquid, and the liquid is what you would drink, you would take as your medicine, or you can leave the berries in the vegetable glycerin or the ethanol and put it in a dark cupboard, or you can put it in a glass that is a brown bottle or a green bottle. So that is quite simply how you make a tincture from vegetable glycerin or from ethanol.
Lucille, thank you very much for that. With the berries, would you squeeze them to get the properties out of them, or you would just leave them to?
I just leave them whole.
Leave them
I just
whole.
leave them whole, and the extracting liquid is the vegetable glycerin or the ethanol, and that's why you leave it in the window ledge for about, so it's exposed to the sunlight for about 2 weeks, and that process of the sunlight, the vegetable glycerin or the ethanol extracts the medicinal properties from the elderberry.
So you don't have to strain it through a muslin bag or anything like that.
Afterwards, you can do that. Afterwards, you can do that if you want. You can strain it if you want. Okay. After the 2 weeks, you can strain it and then put it in another jar, which is either brown or dark green glass or brown plastic. You know, the medicinal bottles.
Yeah.
And or keep it in a darkened cupboard. Don't expose it to light after that, and it will keep for a very long time, especially if you use ethanol.
Okay, thank you. So I hope that's answered some of the questions that people have put on the chat or have been considering, or yeah, but we do have a few more questions. Jonathan, would you like to read some out, or shall I continue? Okay, I can't see Jonathan. All right, I've seen your hand. Let's just get another question, because we've dealt with Ashanti's question in the chat. I'm coming to you if there's another one you've got, Ashanti, but we'll just take another person. Does the lungs repair itself?
You know something, the body that has been created, given the right conditions, can actually restore itself. That is all I can say. So I'm not going to say that what was the question? Can the lungs heal itself?
Does the lungs repair itself?
Or repair itself, given the right conditions. If you put the right things into your body, the right nutrients, the right supplements into your body can actually get on the road to restoration. And we've seen that. You know, even for myself, with my own personal testimony, when I was diagnosed with asthma, you know, I don't use the salbutamol. I have no lung inhalers or any inhalers at all. I'm not dependent on anything since 2014, simply because I made sure that I took away the actual foods that was doing harm to my body, stayed away from some of the chemicals that may do harm to my body or to my lungs. And that is what I did. I eliminated those things that would cause injury to my lungs. And now my lungs are in, I would say, very good working order. You know, I can walk long distances without being out of breath. When I was diagnosed with asthma, I found it very difficult to do long distances. Errol will walk in and I'll call him and says, you know, I want to go home. I've done enough, because I could feel the pressure on my lungs. And so it's up to us to make sure that we eat the right foods, which is what I've mentioned, and some of the herbs that can actually strengthen your lungs.
Thank you. I like that answer. And that reminds me of the difference between somebody defining themselves as an asthmatic or a person who has asthma. You're living with asthma, and it's something that can be done to reverse the issues that you're struggling with, or if you just accept I am an asthmatic and that's that, and so therefore I'm going to be dependent on these chemicals that have been given to me. So you do always have to be careful. If you have asthma, remember, you do need to seek professional medical advice. Absolutely. And the information we're sharing on here is for your information and educational purposes. But always remember, you do have a medical practitioner that you're working with. So whatever you do, you need to let them know what you're doing. And then as you move along, if you see the need to no longer require or to no longer be dependent on the medication, then speak with your doctor, and then it's up to them and yourself to decide what's best to do. But we're not telling you throw away your inhalers.
No, and I have to add that I did actually tell my nurse specialist when I went for my review after I changed my diet and everything, and my peak flow was improving, and she said, "Oh, continue on the inhalers," and I says, "Okay," and I walked away because I wasn't on my inhalers because I just got the answer I needed.
So she thought you were taking your inhalers.
Yes, she thought but I made I decided that I didn't want to be dependent on a blue and a brown something in my handbag.
Okay. Thank you. Right, now Whisper has asked, how can someone get rid of persistent mucus? I believe you shared that information as you went along.
The persistent mucus means that your lung is congested and you need to try to break down the mucus and somehow get it out so that you can spit it out, or make the mucus more fluid so that it can be removed. And that is through some of the herbs that I mentioned. So you can start, garlic, ginger, turmeric, horseradish, all of those things. Even making the flu balm. I purposely didn't put the flu balm on this presentation because we're talking about the lungs, and also there has to be a disclaimer when you're talking about the flu balm, because if you suffer from diabetes or you suffer from high blood pressure, there are one or two herbs that you have to be careful about taking, including about the honey. So make sure you take your expectorant herbs. I would say to this person who's asking the question, start with something as simple as thyme. The thyme that I mentioned. So go to the I don't know if the supermarkets sell thyme.
They do, but they grow them in their garden as well, or they know of a friend who grows
or they know
them.
someone, and get your thyme and carry a flask and make your thyme tea and start sipping it. That's what you can do. So start on something as simple as thyme, because I that's very generalistic. I don't know who you are, what ailments you have, but that's one of the safest that you can start sipping on, and see if it makes a difference. And bring thyme.
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 Yeah.
Thyme.
And if you do this, because this could be one of your challenges for the week, if you do this and you see the results, please share on the Telegram groups or come back next week and let us know how you managed to get on with, or what results you don't have to show us, but let us know what kind of results you experienced after drinking your herbal teas.
If you're someone that has issues with your lungs, 2 challenges: thyme or horseradish. If you can get your hands on horseradish, I want you to tell us what it was like taking the horseradish, and if you started to feel as if you were releasing mucus, because that's what horseradish does.
Thank you. Thank you, Sister
Sharon, one question. Would you be able to share the scientific name for elderberry? As someone is asking, where could they get it in South Africa?
In South Africa.
Okay, we're going to Google that one, I think. Sorry, I shouldn't say Google, promoting Google, but there you go.
Let me, okay.
Search that one up.
Yeah.
Right, and as you're doing it, this is a question that's for anybody in London, really, if you know the answer. This person called S had said, parks and woods in London, can you please tell us some that are free as possible from dogs and dog mess? any examples, please? So if there's anyone in London right now, I know I used to live in London, but I can't think of any that are free of dogs.
No.
But if you know of any where there's not that many, it could well be that dogs have to be on a lead in that park, and I think they should be anywhere, unless it's like a free country park. Can you recommend? You can either unmute and tell us, or you can put that in the chat on Zoom. This question came on Zoom, so the individual S is on Zoom.
Sharon.
Oh, hi, Louise.
Hi. I was just looking up the scientific name for elderberry. It's Sambucus.
Sambucus.
Sambucus. And it's amazing that it's got the cus at the end, like Sambucus is as in mucus. So that was quite interesting for me.
Yeah, because some people would say Sambuca and finish there, but no, Sambucus.
Excellent.
Thank you for that, Louise. Thank you.
Louise.
And Louise is the person who's doing one of the 10-day detoxes. This is the one in November. Okay. Someone says, please, this is E. Davis. Thank you for an informative program. Please, can you let me know where to get medical cayenne pepper from?
You know, I have to say, Sharon, you know, ever since cayenne pepper was advertised that 90,000 heat units can stop a heart attack, I'm telling you, we can't get our hands on it anymore. 90,000 heat units. I know Louise is nodding her head. It's very, very difficult to get it in the UK. I don't know about anywhere else, but from when I managed to get my hands on the 130,000 one, Amazon used to sell it. Sorry, I mentioned manufacturers, or whatever you call them.
Company,
sorry. But I remember when I got 130,000 heat units, and that is excellent. And I have to say, even in our experience that Manor House, and Lucille can testify to this, someone who was having, I don't want to say funny turn, but she was having an episode. Thank you, Sharon. And we put that cayenne pepper tincture under her tongue, and it was just woke up again. That's what it does, because it hits the main blood vessels under your tongue. That's how powerful cayenne pepper is. If you can get it, please let us know. But the way I've preserved mine 130,000 heat units is I've made it into a tincture. I've preserved it by that, because I can't buy it anymore. It was Uganda. Uganda is the country that was selling the medicinal grade cayenne pepper. Can't get it anymore. You can get 40,000, you can get 50,000, possibly 60, I'm not sure, but you can't get the 90,000, and you can't get the 130,000. So if someone's out there and they can get it, please let us know.
Can
Louise,
I?
please? Sorry, Louise.
No, I'm not going to tell you where you can get it, because I don't know. I just want to attest to the cayenne and how powerful it is, because I used to buy all my cayenne pepper capsules off Jonathan and Shirley. I bought them for a specific reason, and I won't say why I bought them. Well, I will say why I bought them, because it's all about learning. And we know that there were some people, someone was suffering with exceedingly professed monthly cycles. And they were taking 1 or 2 capsules at the onset of their cycle, and usually by day 3 they are so bad they can't even cough without something happening to them, an excess. That's how bad it was. And by the time we administered the capsules, basically the cycle was the best cycle they've had for years, and that was at the very highest grade of 135. Wow. And I tried to purchase every single bottle from the curlews, and then they told me they ran out, so they're no longer my friends.
Oh, can I say something?
Yeah.
Yes, Anita, and thank you
Yeah.
for joining us. I think this is your first time on here.
Yes, this is my first time. I won't be long though because I've got another study to go through. Anyway, just to say hi to all of you and to Sister Louise, just spoken just now. Sister Louise, happy Sabbath to you all. Anyway,
Happy Sabbath.
with regards to the cayenne pepper, I went into my little talk with the Lord because I had some health issues going on with me, and I'm a person who juice every day, and I tried my very best to eat properly and to do all of those things with regards to health and wellness, including asking the Lord for instruction. And cayenne pepper was one of them that the Lord told me to use. We had a good conversation on it, and he said that you'd be surprised of the health benefit of cayenne pepper, and also thyme, the herb thyme, that I should drink the thyme as water, to drink thyme tea as water. So this is what I've been doing, and I have received an amount of beneficial health from these things, which help to expel mucuses from my throat, and help to relieve me of chronic sinus that I have been having for a long period of time. And from ever since, and this just happened just shortly, maybe 3 months ago. And I've been drinking the thyme tea as water. And as my sister said, that wherever she goes, she carries this flask with thyme water. And I just drink the tea, every day as water. And I with the cayenne pepper, wow. I make juice or smoothies, I just put it in there and just drink it. Food I'm eating, I just drink it. And it relieves me so much. In that, I'm saying this, that what I've heard just now, this is true. I went downstairs just now and I was just talking to the Lord. I said, Father, you are a good God. I know now you're speaking to me, especially with the cayenne pepper and the thyme. Those are just two of the items that the Lord told me to do. So I thank you so very much for this information. This just heightened my faith and belief and trust in God. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anita. I am so blessed with your testimony. I know you have to rush away, but it's your first time on, and you've given us, you've opened up your microphone and you have testified from your mouth, and you are a blessed lady. I'm thanking God for your experience. And what I want to do is share with you a special gift because you came on and testified. So if you are able to personal message me, or Lorraine, the person that invited you, personal message me with your number, I'm going to gift you with an essential oil. I'll gift you with a wild orange essential oil. I'll send that in the post. You are in the UK, aren't you?
I am. The person who introduced me to this chat was Wayne Sutherland, who lives in the UK.
Okay,
also.
Wayne.
Yeah, we studied together.
So if either yourself or Wayne, if you're able to send me a message with your phone number, and then I can send a gift to you, because I am so blessed with you opening up your mouth and testifying of the benefits. Thank you for taking the challenge even before we set it. And praise the Lord that he shared.
What is your name, please? What is your name, please?
I'm Sharon Wallace. What I'll do is I'll send you a message directly in the chat, and then you'll get my details. Okay, I'm just doing that now. Do you know how to work the chat?
I do, and I make the screen a little smaller, and I'm trying to go back into it now, and it won't let me.
Okay, so where it says chat, somewhere along the bottom, if you click on there.
No, I'm not seeing that as yet. I'm just trying to.
Are you on a laptop?
You know when you minimize, yes, you minimize the screen.
So you need to make it bigger again.
Yes, I'm trying, and I click on it
Sharon,
several times, but it won't.
if you go ahead, Sharon, and send her a private message.
I have done.
Yeah, so then you could deal with that after.
Yeah, so if you're able to find your chat and then get my details and we'll deal with that. Okay, we've got lots more questions. Jonathan.
Just to say, Sharon, as well, the person that asked about where they could get the elderberry in South Africa, they can get it from Ditcham. Ditcham, which is Deschem, Deschem.
Deschem. Thank you for that work, Jonathan, and whoever helped you. Okay, we have a hand from Ashanti. Ashanti, would you like to unmute and ask your question?
Yeah, I'm talking about like equipments to make onion syrup. Well, what are the equipments that you need in order to make onion syrup, please?
Onion syrup?
Yeah, because I've got a notepad to write on.
Okay. Sister Joan?
Yes. Charlene, can you just remind us how to make onion syrup, please? I know it involves the jar, a glass jar, small glass jar.
The small glass jar.
Yes, small sliced onions.
Honey.
I think, Sister Joan, all of that information is on our YouTube.
Thank you. Absolutely.
If you go on to
the practicals that we
there's a practical on there. I think home
remedies
or home remedies in your kitchen.
Yeah.
She'll be able to find all that information there.
And you'll actually see a demo.
Yes.
Alive.
Yeah. Thanks for the reminder.
Is it on the TCI channel? Is it on the TCI YouTube channel?
It is.
Underneath home remedies, Ashanti.
Okay.
There's 3 presenters on that one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, can you see any more questions that you'd like to bring up, Jonathan?
There was one. Is it possible? Yeah, is it possible for you to share the foods which you eliminate from your diet when you made your diet change to get rid of your asthma?
That's a question.
Yes. Yes. I got rid of cheese. I got rid of cow's milk and went on to plant-based milk. I came off white sugar, although even brown sugar can be hot, it can be mucus forming. Came off white flour. So what I did, I went on to wholemeal breads, wholemeal flour, brown basmati rice, took out the cheese, and I have to confess, I used to love the 2 sweets that I used to eat was M&Ms and licorice all sorts. I hold my hands up. And I used to, if Errol went out to do food shopping, I'll say, Errol, don't forget the licorice all sorts and the M&Ms. And that's exactly what I used to do. And I have to say, I have not touched those things for years. And I praise the Lord that my taste buds changed.
Praise the Lord.
Because I didn't realize that sweets, because of the white sugar in them, can actually create a lot of mucus as well. So that's what I did, Sharon. And I went on to more fruits and vegetables. That's exactly what I did. Grapefruit is excellent. That can help cut the mucus. And actually grapefruit is also in the flu bomb, can be used in the flu bomb. So I went on to grapefruit and fruits and vegetables, took those mucus forming foods out of my diet, and I don't miss them. I don't miss them at all.
And you certainly don't miss the asthma either.
And Sharon, I don't miss the asthma at all.
Someone asked, how long can the horseradish, elderberry and onion syrup be kept for? You did say it can
put them in the fridge.
Time.
Yeah, you could. Oh no, are you saying dried or when you make the syrup?
This says syrup.
Yeah, if you make the syrup and put it in the refrigerator, it should last, I would say, about 5 to 10 days in your refrigerator.
This is the onion syrup.
The onion syrup, the horseradish, yeah. If you're making them into the syrup that Lucille mentioned, which is the elderberry syrup, it's going to last quite a while because you would have placed it in vegetable glycerin, or you would have placed it in alcohol. Some people place their elderberries 50% purified water, 50% water, or 50% elderberries, 25% water, 25% alcohol, if you don't want too much of an alcohol-based tincture. But vegetable glycerin, you can put your elderberries in the vegetable glycerin, and it does last quite a long time. So not as long as alcohol-based tinctures, but it does last a long time.
So we're talking about a year?
I would say a year for the elderberries in vegetable glycerin, and make sure it's in a dark glass bottle, dark green, dark blue, or dark brown, and it's kept away from the light.
Thank you. We've got another question on YouTube from Darrell McLaren. This is to do with the elderberries. It says, after boiling the berries for tea, can the seeds be eaten?
I have not eaten the seeds, but I must have done because I have eaten elderberries, so I'm sure you can consume it. It's going to be very difficult to take seeds out of those small elderberries, I'll tell you. You just won't have any elderberries left if you try to do that. You just won't, because they're so small.
But again, I will recommend, if anyone's joining us later, don't just pick the elderberries from the tree and eat them. Okay, do not do that. Okay, it's not good for you. Okay, can you add thyme to the lemon with warm water? So if you just have warm water, can you just add thyme and lemon juice?
You can.
Okay, thank you. And do you sweeten the herbal remedies with honey at all, or any other sweetener or sugar?
I would recommend try not to. If you are someone that is that likes to have a sweet taste in your herbs just to make it palatable, then just a little bit, please, of the honey. If you're diabetic, be careful on the honey as well. I know there are some people who cannot drink teas without it, and I know some people who have gotten used to drinking their herbal teas without honey, because you know the taste isn't bad at all. So it's a matter of it's preference, really, Sharon. I can't tell people not to.
And also persistence. If you if you reduce it, eventually you'll realize that you don't actually need it.
No, and
it's
also,
going to be better for you.
If you really want to be having something sweet, you can actually dehydrate dates. So you can dehydrate pitted dates, and once you've dried them, you can then blitz them into a powder, and you've got your date sugar, your own date sugar.
Okay, thank you for those of you who have had to leave. We're only going to go on for maybe another 10 minutes, so we won't keep you for too long. And we realize some of you may have been sitting, but you are allowed to move about. You don't have to sit down for the whole duration. Like I said, I've been outside in the garden and moved around. Okay, right, so enough of that. We have a question, another one. Can I add them in a blender for smoothies? These are the elderberries. Could I add them in a blender? Obviously, you're going to have to cook them first, and then to be safe, you're going to have to cook them first. I know if I've made a drink with them, it tastes a bit like blackcurrant.
It does, and it smells divine. I'm telling you, elderberries smell absolutely beautiful when you've got them all together in a bowl or a cup. The smell of it does actually smell like blackcurrant. It smells rich. It has such a rich smell.
How do you take the horseradish? It says radish, but I assume they mean horseradish. Can you simmer it and drink it as tea, just like you would with thyme?
Yeah, yes, you can. And you can dry your horseradish as well. So when you grate your horseradish, just add a little lemon juice to it and put it in a Ziploc bag and freeze it. And that will preserve your horseradish. Or you can grate your horseradish and put maybe a teaspoon of it in a mug and put boiling water on it and let it steep. And then you can drink it. You can strain it and drink it. And I've done all of that with horseradish, the whole lot. Dried it, drank it, put it in foot baths. You can put it in your bathtub. You can put it in your lung tonics. You can put it in your elderberry syrup. You can do just about anything with the horseradish. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Right, so I think we've almost come to the end of the questions. Jonathan, do you see any on there that I've missed?
No, Sharon, I think that's it, unless anyone, oh, I can see Louis' hand. So if you want to unmute Louis, then.
Sorry,
Louis,
just to say, in terms of people who can't take honey, or in terms of people who want to use maybe who don't want to use honey, but they want to use something that's quite sweet, that can be quite sweet. Licorice root is very sweet. You can make a licorice tea, or you can add licorice to your herbs and stuff like that, and
That's good.
it doesn't interfere with any of the properties whatsoever. So using licorice root is quite a natural way, but we have to remember to use it in smaller doses, because licorice is actually much sweeter, 30 to 50% a bit more sweeter than sugar.
Yes. Thank you, Louise. You're correct. And I've used licorice root. Yeah, in my tea before. It is excellent. I've just gone through the chat and I don't see any more questions. That's what I was looking at.
No, that's what I'm doing. I'm seeing comments. So thank you everybody for all your comments.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for your questions. And just to talk about next week, and next week is, last week we had promoted that we were going to have the digestive system with Dr. Gandhi. However, due to unforeseen circumstances and illness, we had to do a switch. And so we had Dr. Louisa present on all the different systems. And that was another, if you've missed it and you want to go back, please, I really highly recommend, because she looked at all the body systems and gave us a general introduction, but it was an excellent introduction. So please, if you've missed it, go back and watch it when you have the time, whether you're going on a walk and you're just listening to it, although it's good to see the presentation. But even if you're just listening, go back and you get a really good overview as to what the body systems, how they work together, and how fearfully and wonderfully we are made. I see one other question on YouTube. Mindy Mihaly, how can I make a natural antibiotic?
Yeah.
So
that's nature penicillin.
Yeah.
Yeah, the natural antibiotic is also called nature's pet. It's grapefruit, lemons, garlic, turmeric, ginger,
peppermint.
You can add peppermint, and you can add you can yes you can peppermint or eucalyptus, cayenne pepper.
The onion.
You can add
onion,
and that's normally called the nature's penicillin.
And you blitz it all up. It doesn't need heat.
No, just a little water. 2 cups of water. Blitz it, and then put it in a jar, and you've got your flu bomb
in a glass jar.
Yeah, and then you can blitz it fine, or you can, it depends on your blender, you can strain it, and then you've got the actual,
the liquid, but it's going to have the bits in there anyway.
Yeah.
And then you just take a tablespoon, because it's food, it's not a medicine as such, although it's your food as your medicine, but there's no side effects. Okay, the side effects, your breath might smell a bit if you got garlic in there, but hey, that's why you put the peppermint in. But it has to, if you are using peppermint, it has to be ingestible, not just any old peppermint essence. It's got to be something that you know is not harmful. You can't just pick anything from a cheap corner store or wherever. You've got to know that it's the ingestible grade, and if it's not, then leave it out. And then you may have like a teaspoon or so as and when you need it. Okay, so I think we've covered everything. So as I said, next week we are going to be looking at the digestive system with Dr. Gandhi, and I'm sure you're going to have a lot in there that's going to be informative. So if you wish to share the information, it's the same link that you used for today to come on for YouTube and or for Zoom. We'll have another poster ready for you beforehand, but I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Joan, Holistic You, for your presentation. God is using you in a mighty way, and I'm sure you will continue to let him use you as you share this knowledge that he has given you to those who need it. So bless you and thank you so much. And Errol, wherever you are in the background, okay, thank you, Errol, as well. And the rest of your family, because this is your time with your family as well. So we really appreciate you coming on.
Oh,
here.
it's quite all right. Thank you.
Jonathan.
Someone is asking for Sister Joan contact as well in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we will allow her to share that as she has the need.
Just to thank Joan for another beautiful, informative presentation. God bless you.
Oh, God bless you, Sister Audrey. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank the Lord.
So there's a message for those of you who are on YouTube. We'll type that up, but it's holisticyou@gmail.com. There's an email there, holistic, spelled HOLISTIQUE, holistic, you, all lowercase, and you is YOU, at gmail.com, holisticyou@gmail.com. So the holistic.
And if you're able to share the Telegram groups again, Sharon, that would be.
Yep, I will do that. So let's just do the screen share again. It's going to go backwards, but I'm afraid that's okay. So let's go to the big screen. Yeah, okay. Can you see that clearly on the screen? I'm sure you can. Let's look at my phone. So there you have the Telegram groups for the men's wellness group, the women's wellness group, I can't say the words properly, and the spiritual health group. If you make a note of those, you can do a screenshot, or perhaps we can put it in the chat so people can click on it, but you do need to have Telegram already installed on your devices. Someone has put in a request for me to add them to a WhatsApp group. I can do that, but we try our best to go with Telegram, but we still do have some people who don't have Telegram, so we add them to the WhatsApp group as well.
Hi, Sharon.
I'm sure that's Paula. I can't see you, but I can recognize your voice.
I joined late. I was on a Bible study.
Okay,
can you tell me
Paula.
what's happening in the Bible study now? It could be in a few weeks now.
For the Bible study group? Yes, there has been a little delay on the start of that. What you could do is contact the person that was doing the Bible studies, Brother Alvin, and see if you're able to, or Brother Lewis, see if either of them are able to put you more in the picture.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just going to end the screen share. Oops, that's gone backwards. Okay, well, whilst it's there, we have our essential oils classes, and there you see the Zoom ID 829-975-24481. That's on a Tuesday evening, UK time at 7 o'clock. Sorry, Thursday evening. I know I said Tuesday, but I get those T days mixed up. Thursday evening at 7 o'clock. And you see the Telegram groups, and back to today's presentation.
Just to say, Sharon, to that person that asked you to add them the WhatsApp that we only just share posters on there, really.
Yes,
The
it's
real
not.
fun is on the the Telegram.
Okay, have I stopped? Am I still screen sharing?
No.
No, I'm not.
Sharon?
Okay.
Sharon?
Hi, Ashanti.
Hello, Ashanti. Sorry, I've got so many different devices opened on my screen. I'm trying to find
Yeah.
Zoom.
I just want to say I've left a comment not long ago on the chat, by the way.
On exercise, let me go back to that one. Okay. There we
I think
go.
it was more of a comment.
Yes,
Sharon.
it was a comment. It
Why I
wasn't a
didn't-
question.
didn't
So
pick it.
thank you very much for that, Ashanti. Cycling, walking, going to the gym. That's great. So yeah, so whatever form of exercise that you find is one that you enjoy and you're happy to do, possibly along with others, you know, others in your family. So then it becomes more of a group activity and you can encourage each other, especially if you're, I don't know, you're doing press ups and it's like you've got one more to do and you're struggling and that person can say, come on, Ashanti, you can do it. You know, you encourage and motivate each other. So yeah, whichever method you wish to do.
Yeah, I
whether it's
was considering going to the gym one day. Actually.
Yeah, I do prefer to do outdoor activities though, because as we are talking about air and respiration, you want an air environment where you can breathe fresh, clean air. Maybe the gym has windows that you can open, and most gyms I know tend not to. But yeah, if that's where you're going to be motivated to do your exercise, just remember once you've done that, you come out and you breathe some good fresh air, preferably where there's trees and the right kind of environment, not a smoky one. So yeah. All right then, so thank you once again everybody for joining us on True Temperance International. I pray and trust that you will have a good week, and we're going to end the YouTube, and if you wish to stay on, you can stay on and say your goodbyes. So let's just see how we end the YouTube. This is my sorry, my husband's whispering. He says he wants everyone on YouTube to get the contact details. So have you shared it yet? Yeah, so we're just going to sign off now. So Edgar, you can talk. You say what you're going to say. No, he doesn't want to talk. Okay, so those of you who have joined us on YouTube, thank you once again. It's been a pleasure having you with us, and we look forward to seeing you next week or midweek if you're coming onto any of our platforms to share your testimonies. Thank you so much. Hi, Winston. Lovely to see you. So goodbye, YouTube.